thank you all for coming. Head coach Sean Lewis will start us off with an opening statement.
Yeah, again, just want to reiterate a big thanks to all the friends, family, fans, and especially the football alumni that came back for homecoming weekend. Dix was an awesome atmosphere on Saturday. Really pleased with the way that our team started. Really pleased with the growth and the progress that we've made in a lot of areas. Obviously, the finish and coming up a point short really hurts, and a lot of good lessons that we're going to learn from that going forward. But again, the strides are being made. The kids are playing better. We're playing more efficiently. You know, it really boils down to in a game where there was a total of 162 snaps, we had 3 turnovers and again 11 penalties of those 14 plays that we need to be better at. Had a little bit more focus, and we'll end up on the right side of the ledger. But again, the growth and the strides are being made. Really pleased with the way the kids fought against a really, really good team, and we're right in the thick of it. And we need to continue to find a way to push through and get on the other side and get a dub in the right side of the column there.
As a first-year coach,
Mm-hmm.
first time you ever been in that situation, conference game coming down the wire, just kind of talk about, what did you learn from it?
Yeah, again, I mean, it's even though it's the first time as a head coach, there's a lot that I've learned as a first-time head coach is that really my job hasn't changed a whole lot on game day than it has as an offensive coordinator. Been in that situation before, have executed 1-minute situations in the past. The biggest decisions I have to make is if are we going to go for it on 4th down or not. But have been in conference games in the past, have our kids in the right position, and need to continue to execute and get those kids in the right position each and every single week. And again, we execute it the right way. Guys do their job at the end of the first half. We get a great field goal from our young kicker, and he hits it from depth, and we execute, and we know exactly what it's supposed to be like, and we do it in a much more difficult situation with only 50 seconds on the clock, 2 timeouts at the end of the first half. Then, I mean, for us and the way that we operate with a minute 28 at the tail end of the game with 2 timeouts, that's an eternity. And with our kid being 4 for 4 at that point in time, we just need to, again, focus in, dial in a little bit more, have a greater sense of attention to detail, and we'll be just fine to be able to execute and finish in those situations when the time comes up again.
You mentioned it. Trickett was kind of automatic on the day.
Yeah.
The false start. You accepted the runoff.
Right.
What was kind of your approach heading into that last sequence?
Because he'd been so good when he's been in rhythm that I wanted to save that one time out so that we didn't have to go a Mayday field goal situation. When you get there and you only need a field goal to win it, you want to have one time out in your back pocket so that you can let your kid go out, take his normal approach, if you will, right? If you're a golfer and you don't want to rush over into your shot, kicking a field goal is a lot of the same way. So holding that time out in your back pocket, and again, because of where we were at on the field, we were still ahead of schedule because of the way that we operate. All we needed to do was get to the plus 32, plus 33, and we were going to be fine, which we were only, if I'm not mistaken, about 20 yards away at that point in time. So again, with 40 seconds to go 20 yards with the way that we were moving the ball, I felt confident with our kids' ability to get that done. And obviously, we just left the ball too far inside on the very next play. And again, when you do that against a good team, against a quality opponent, against a quality player and their boundary safety, who is an all-conference player, he's going to make you pay for it, and he made a good play.
Flipping to Woody, this is the first time he's ever been in a situation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What do you tell him? You can't coach that stuff. You got to get there.
Well, we can coach it in some regard because we created each and every single week where we execute a 1-minute situation. And he's done a good job, and he executes those 1-minute situations to where, again, it's different for the people who aren't in the arena, to where if you come out and you prepare the right way each and every single day and every single time you step in between the white lines and you treat practice like a game, then when you're in those situations, you've been in those situations each and every single day. The only difference is that people get to see you do it as opposed to when no one's around and no one's watching, right? I mean, Michael Jordan hit a lot of game-winning shots, practicing him in the gym in empty gyms all by himself. And then when the moment came, he hit a lot of game-winning shots because there happened to be people watching because he was prepared for those moments. Woody prepares the right way, and he's going to learn, he's going to grow from it. And again, when he was right at the end of the first half, we execute it. And he's even able to overcome a mistake at the end of the first half and we still get points because he was right more than he was wrong. And on the day yesterday, he was right more than, or Saturday rather, he was right more than he was wrong. And I'll ride with Woody, and we're going to be just fine. He'll continue to learn and grow. And as a first-year quarterback, it's strides that you learn from. So when you get into it again, you can be more efficient with it. So we'll get into that situation again on Wednesday of this week. So if it shows up again on Saturday, we'll be prepared and we'll execute the right way.
What did you tell him after that last offensive play?
That there's a proper read, that he just needs to leave the ball outside, and it's exactly where we want him to do it. I mean, he made the right read. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and now he just needs to follow through with the execution and just can't leave that ball inside. But, I mean, I told him at the end of the game that I was proud of him. I loved the way that he competed, that I loved him, and that I'll again, ride with him no matter what, and we'll continue to grow together, and I'll put him in better positions throughout the course of the game so that we do a better job to where it doesn't come down to one last drive at the end, right? If we're better and we execute better, and it starts with me, if I give him better play calls in the red zone and any of those 4 field goals that Trickett hits in, and Trickett's 3 for 3 with one more extra point, PAT field goal, as opposed to being 4 for 4 for field goals, and one of those drives results in touchdowns, Woody doesn't have to be in those situations. And it's my job, and it's our staff's job to make sure that we put our team in a better position to where the game's already in hand at that point in time, because we played really, really well, and it shouldn't have came down to that drive. If we would have done a better job executing throughout the course of the game could have been in hand. But again, tip of the cap to Coach Solich and his staff, that they continued to fight and found a way to win, and that's where we are going to grow and we're going to evolve to because of the steps and the progress that we're taking. I'm very, very pleased with the growth, and there's not a group of guys that I want more to feel the satisfaction of victory, and because of how hard they've worked, to look at the kids' eyes at the end of that game and to know that the pain's real and it's hurt, and it should, because of the investment that they've put in. It only motivates me to continue to work that much harder for them, and I know the kids are extra motivated to get back to work tomorrow so that we can get back again on the right side of the column come this Saturday.
Always frustrating when you lose a game like that. You look back and there's a lot of things that you did that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to just kind of add to it.
Yeah, I mean, again, we challenged the kids throughout the course of the week that we need to be physical. They were really, really physical. We challenged them the way that we always do, to where we need to stop the run. And that's a really good running offense, a really strong offensive line, a really experienced, salty back, and a quarterback that can hurt you in a lot of different ways. And I thought the defense did a fabulous job shutting down their run. We always want to run the football, and Rankin ends up finishing the game, if I'm not mistaken, when averaging over 7 yards a carry. So we did that. It's where you're checking a lot of the boxes in your plan to win that say you should win the football game. But ultimately, before you can win, you can't beat yourself. And how do we beat ourselves? We turn the football over, and we have penalties, especially critical penalties in the second half in moments of truth. That again, we just have to continue to have greater focus, greater discipline, to know that in those moments of truth, in the moment of technique, is it a good play? Is it a bad play? And know that sometimes the best play is not making the play. And so that we can play the next down and distance without giving away free yards, whether it be offense, defense, or special teams, and that we value the football so that when we convert a 4th down, we don't then, on the same play, fumble it away, and we should have all kinds of momentum, to where then we don't have momentum because we lost a fumble. So again, it's those things that, yes, the plan to win, we check the boxes that we need to check to win the football game. However, before we can win, we can't beat ourselves, and we beat ourselves by turning the football over and by having critical penalties, which again, the first half we were strong in the penalty category. I think we went to halftime, if I'm not mistaken, we had 2 penalties in the first half. You turn around, you look up, and you have 11 in the game. So again, can we focus? Can we strain? Can we finish the proper way so that we can end up on the right side of things more so than not?
It seems like, certain teams, OU's been good for a long time. They find ways to win these types of games. I mean, is it a situation when you're trying to figure out how to do that, you try too hard in certain situations?
I don't put too much stock into that stuff, and again, I think it's just a matter of controlling the controllables more so than anything else. Again, those kids, we knew going into it that their makeup was that they were going to battle each and every single play for as long as the game went, and I thought our kids battled each and every single play, and ultimately you don't know which play it's going to be that determines the outcome of the game. A lot's going to be made about the last drive, offensively and defensively, but again, there's plays in the first quarter that I would love to have back. There's plays in the third quarter that I'd love to have back in all 3 phases, that could have determined the outcome of that game. So, I think it's just having the self-discipline and the focus throughout the course of the week that we have the best Tuesday practice that we can possibly have coming out tomorrow. And that in turn carries over to the best Wednesday practice, which in turn carries over to the best Thursday practice, so we can put the best product on the field and put ourselves in the best position to win on Saturday. Because, again, a lot of it is made is when the cameras are on, the fans are in the stands, and the plays that are made. And obviously that's how we're going to be judged. But I'm more concerned about the work that we put in throughout the course of the week, and can we be consistent in that process so that we are consistently good and not occasionally great. And that's where we ultimately need to be, is consistently good in all areas of our life, whether that be in the classroom, on the field, or in our social life. Let's be consistently good in what we do.
You're playing another explosive offense this week,
Mm-hmm.
38 or more in the last 3 games. What's the approach to kind of slow them down?
Stop the run first and foremost, right? And then we got to count and make sure we know where their playmakers are at in the way that they want to utilize them. Obviously, Gus Ragland, their quarterback, is a guy who's been in the system now for a couple of years. He's got a good handle on what they're doing, and regardless of the injuries that they've had around him, he's still been able to find ways to work the ball down the field and to get points. Coach Martin and his staff do a really, really good job. They hurt you in a lot of different ways. They got their explosive running back last week. I mean, he only had 3 carries. One of those carries ends up being, I believe, a 74-yard touchdown run. That changes the course of the game. So we got to contain their explosive playmakers. We got to contain the quarterback. And again, the way that we do that and the way that we believe that we're going to do that is first and foremost stop the run so that we can make them a little bit more one-dimensional than they want to be, and then that gives us a competitive edge. But it's going to be a mighty strong challenge, which again, as I said last week, when it's a strong challenge, it makes it all that more worthwhile and that more valuable when you accomplish those goals.
Yeah, just MAC football in a nutshell. Everybody's talking about Akron. They go and really beat Northwestern, then Miami comes to their place and just does what they did.
Well, I think the score is not indicative of how close that football game was. They're Miami of Ohio's inside linebacker, Brad Koenig. He has one of the most impressive string of plays in that football game that I've ever seen as a player, as a coach. I mean, there's 5 possessions where he accounts personally for 4 turnovers, and those 4 turnovers lead to points, which ultimately ends up allowing that game to end up the way that it is. But again, that's what makes this league the best league that there is in the country. We have teams that anyone, anytime, anywhere can beat anyone, whether it's in conference, out of conference, Power 5, non-Power 5. There's great players in this league that love to play this game, and it doesn't matter how many people are in the stands or what day of the week the game is on. We're going to show up, we're going to play, and the guys genuinely love to play. Coaches are high level coaches, high character men that you see week in and week out, and because of it, we put a great product on the field that I know our fans really here love and love to be a part of the experience. So it's fun. It's a great challenge. That's why I want to be back in this league.
How'd you come out injury-wise?
J. Ray was the one big one. Obviously, he had the ankle injury that will probably keep him sidelined for the rest of the year. But besides that, typical bumps and bruises along the way.
Can you talk a little bit more about Trickett, not just on Saturday, but what he's been doing all year?
Yeah, I mean, it starts first and foremost with the program that he comes from, and obviously being a local kid, he's a blue-collar kid. He expects to win. He knows what it takes to win. He's had that approach since day one when he showed up. He's just put his head down and worked and competed and earned the right to be our starting kicker. And he's as even kill as I've seen. He's never too high, never too low. And I say this with all due respect, he's not your typical kicker. I mean, he's an athlete that, you can talk to. I don't mind talking to him, where a lot of the other kickers, and not the ones on our roster, but other kickers that I've been around, you can't talk to those guys. You can talk to Trickett and he's going to be okay. So I'm glad that we have him. I'm glad that we kept the local kid home. It was a great job by Coach Barton and Coach Schrum and our staff evaluating him and knowing that he was the right fit, for our program, and excited to have him in our program for the next 4 years.
Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.